Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to YAHAWAH, Bahashem, YAHAWAH Shai, Bahashem, Harakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that rule well, and peace and salutations to the elect of Yasharallah, you so-called blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans, and you speckled birds scattered abroad. All right, you are the 12 tribes of Israel that according to the Bible. Okay. So I want to say shalom to the elect of the nation of Israel, Yasharallah, which Yasharallah is the real name. It means not the real name, but the real way to, how you say Israel in Lashon Kodash, the Paleo Hebrew. All right. Yasharallah means he, prince, power. Yah, he, Shar, prince, Allah, power. Okay. Because we're the princes and the princesses of the power of the Most High, Yahweh, the creator of all things. And the topic of this lesson is going to be about, the Lord, the Most High, Yahweh, will do all his pleasure. And you can't do nothing about it, man. Okay? All you could do is serve the Lord to the best of your ability. The scriptures say, let me get that first. You can't do nothing against the truth. Okay. 2 Corinthians 13:8 says, for we can do nothing against the truth, but for the truth. And this applies for every single thing. All right. Person, creature, creation, everything. Okay. All right. The Lord, if you do anything, everything that has happened, that is happening, and that will happen was preordained, predestined, all right, by the Most High Yahweh to happen, all right, from the beginning of all time, okay? The Most High chose a vessel for wrath and dishonor, and he chose a vessel for mercy, all right, and honor, okay? And the vessel for dishonor is the Edomites, the so-called white man, all right? And he chose the vessel for honor and mercy, Jacob, the Israelites, okay? Slovakia. Because the Lord, the Most High, blessed us with his Holy Spirit, okay? We're the most God-fearing, the most zealous, all right, people on earth. The scriptures say we are gods and all of you are children of the Most High. All right, all of you are gods and children of the Most High, So we're little lowercase gods put in these chains of darkness, which is these mortal third-dimensional bodies, man. All right, that's why we could only do so much. The scriptures say Jacob is the former of all things. The blacks, Latinos, and Native Americans invented everything, man. Everything you see around you was invented by a black man or a Latino or a Native American man, but it was stolen, by the white man, okay? The so-called white man is the most unoriginal person on earth, He steals everything from the Israelites, and takes it as his own. Even our own heritage as Israelites. He's calling himself Israel. He's calling himself the sons of God when he's not. Jewish people, when he's really not, man. He's the seed of Satan, okay? The synagogue of Satan, okay? And this devil, is trying to upset this truth, trying to get us off the streets, trying to make us look out to be, the worst thing ever, at the same time, look at his people, look at the so-called white man, look at Donald Trump. I'm talking about the elites of the so-called white man. Look at Donald Trump, the Epstein class, but he has people like Vocab Malone who, to come up against us Hebrew Israelites for what? Just reading the Bible? Well, what's so wrong about that, man? I know why it's so wrong. It's because it's exposing the truth of you Edomites for being the devil that the Bible speaks of, and it's forwarding prophecy. Okay, us preaching this word out there on the highways and byways, and this truth getting out throughout the whole earth. All right, it makes the Lord, speed up prophecy. Speed up. All right, this wicked kingdom, to the end of it. Okay, so when the Lord returns, the Lord's gonna end this kingdom. All right, this world ruled by the white man. Okay, that's why these Edomites, these so-called white people, they hate this truth. And they send their agents like John Mark Risen, okay, Vocab Malone, to come up against this truth and make us look like the most the worst thing ever, man. When we're doing nothing but reading the Bible, But all that's gonna come to naught, You're just exposing this truth, even more, All right, you're forwarding prophecy. Donald Trump, these elites, these Edomites, these so-called white people, you're just forwarding prophecy, man. You're just proving to everybody that you're the devil, man. For coming up against this truth. For starting World War III. All right, the Lord is exposing you for being mentioned in the Epstein files more than the Lord was. Talking about Donald Trump, Okay, there's been a lot of exposure, of Donald Trump and these wicked people on earth. Okay, Salakia. Isaiah 46:10, it says, declaring the end from the beginning and from ancient times the things that are not yet done, saying, my counsel shall stand, and I will do all my pleasure. So whatever the Lord wants to happen, it's going to happen no matter what. Okay? If you get the Hebrew Israelites off the streets and ban the Bible, and imprison the Hebrew Israelites, hey, the Lord wanted that to happen. Because the scriptures say there's going to be a famine of the word, of hearing the words of God, of Yahawah. All right? That has to happen. So, hey, you kicking us off the streets, hey, you're just forwarding prophecy, man. All right? That means, hey, we don't have to do the work no more. Our job is done. All right? This truth has gotten to the ears and woke up whoever the Lord wanted it to wake up. All right? There's not going to be 144,999. No, it's going to be 144,000. All right? I'm at 143,999. But, just don't, yeah, man. There's no mistakes, okay? Everything happens for a reason, All right? The Lord, he chose Esau to be the wicked of the Bible, okay? You can't make America not be destroyed by 200 million nuclear missiles. It's written in the Bible, You can't, upset prophecy, man, Hey, the Lord is putting the spirit upon this devil, the so-called white man, okay, to start World War III, to crash this world economy, okay, and so he could forward his new world order, all right, his new economy, okay, all right, through the cloud, digital currency, okay, all right, and he's gonna make it mandatory for everybody to receive an RFID microchip inside of them. Okay, that's the new world order that's coming. That's why World War III has started. That's why, the so-called white men, the elites of the whole world, are starting World War III to crash the economy. And that's why, all that's going on in the Middle East with Iran. Iran is messing up the oil because, hey, this whole world is run by oil, all right? And that's, oil equals US dollar, man, That's the ruling currency of the world, but it's falling. It's falling rapidly. And the closure of the Strait of Hormuz and the other strait south of it is most likely will close too, okay? and these countries siding with the BRICS nations. Slovakia. And all these nations, all right, are on a race to 6G and coming up with their own brain chips, okay? All right, because that's what's coming next, man. All right, the mark of the beast being made mandatory, the RFID microchip technology being mandatory to put inside of you. That's what's coming to pass. That's what will come to pass. Okay, the prophets of YAHAWAH telling you that there is gonna be a draft. You know, that's gonna happen. A draft is coming to America. Donald Trump is the Americans, the elites of America are saying, hey, that's not off the table. So hey, be ready for a draft, man. Okay, power outages. All right, the prophets of GMS have been telling you about great power outages coming to America on a level that this world has never seen before. Famines is coming to America that this world has never seen before, and we're seeing beginning stages of that. All right, inflation. Okay, that's written in the Bible. Okay, the prophets of the Lord have been preaching to you about that. You know, telling you this whole time. All right. What? I don't know right now. You're gonna have to wait. I'm doing a lesson. Do you need this right now? I don't even know. Wait. Let me finish my lesson. The fuck? Slovakia. What was I saying, man? But yeah, man, you know, everything that the Lord, everything that's in the Bible, the prophecies of the Bible is going to come to pass if you like it or not, man. You know, and you can't do nothing against His truth before it, okay? The Lord is going to make you do what He wants you to do. He's also going to make you not know that you're doing what the Lord wants you to do, you know, okay? All right? You can't upset prophecy, man, okay? You know, hey, brothers be saying, you know, they be saying, hey, man, if I was Esau, I wouldn't even let the prophets go out there and preach at all. You know, hey, man, you know, but hey, the Lord, you know, the scriptures say, this devil has bounds that he cannot pass, man. You know, he can't do what the Lord won't let him do. And same with us men of the Lord. All right, we can't do what the Lord doesn't want us to do. You know, we can't go touch Cain, like the scriptures say, to not lay your hand on Cain. Okay, all right, the Edomites, you know, our enemy. All right, because he's the Lord's whipping stick. Okay, he's the Lord's axe. You know, his the Lord's sword. Okay, he's the Lord's punishment instrument. Okay. Slovakia. He's a minister of the Lord to do good. But if you do evil, be very afraid, okay? Because he bears not the sword in vain, okay? So, hey, man, the Lord created evil. He created good, all right? Who perisheth being innocent, man. Hey, all right? The Lord created all things. He even created Satan, all right, for a purpose. Satan reports to the Lord, okay? So, hey, the scriptures say the whole duty of man is to fear the Lord, fear the Most High, YAHAWAH, and keep His commandments, okay? So do what the Lord says, or, hey, Satan won't come near you, okay? The scriptures say to flee sin as you run into a face of a serpent, you know? Don't play around with sin, okay? Or demons or evil and wickedness won't come upon you, man. Okay? All right? It's that simple. Okay? Because the Lord, YAHAWAH, is in control of all things. Okay? You're not in control. You may think or feel like you are, But hey, live your life thinking that you're in control and see what happens. Okay? I tried. You know, I don't ever get my way. You know, the only time I get my way, all right, is when I serve the Lord. And that's not even the point, you know, trying to get your way. The point is doing what the Lord commands you to do, man. In truth and love, you know, serving the Lord, you know, pleasing the Lord, okay? All right? You know, delight yourself in Yahawah Ba'ashem Yahawah Shai. And don't delight in yourself or in anything else. Like in Ecclesiastes, you know, King Solomon, you know, he did everything, you know, to his heart's desire. And he realized that everything's just vanity, man. The most important thing is to fear the Most High. To do what the Lord commands you to do, man. All right? All right? And King Solomon was one of, you know, the richest man ever. Okay? All right? And he did everything just to test him out, to see what was the, you know, to test everything out, you know, because he had everything, women, money, substance, all that, man. And he came to the realization that, hey, you know, it's all vanity. It's pointless. Everything's pointless other than serving the Lord, pleasing the Lord. Okay? All right. Ecclesiastes, I don't want to read that one yet. I want to read this one. I'm going to come back to these. Well, I'll read this one. Daniel 4:35. It says, "And all the inhabitants of the earth are reputed as nothing, and he doeth according to his will in the army of heaven and among the inhabitants of the earth, and none can stay his hand or say unto him, what thou doest." Okay? You hear that? You know, like who are you to reply against the Lord, man? The Lord's gonna do what he wants. He's gonna do all his pleasure. All right? If you like it or not. All right? Romans 9:20 says, "Nay, but O man, who art thou that repliest against God? Shall the thing formed say to him that formed it, why hast thou made me thus?" You know? Hey, man, you can say that all you want. It's just not gonna happen, man. You know, like the Lord controls you, man. He created you. You know? You can't, reply against the Lord. You could try. It's going to get you nowhere, because he's the Most High. He's the creator. You're just a creation. Okay? Ecclesiastes 5:2 says, "Be not rash with thy mouth, and let not thine heart, your mind, be hasty to utter anything before God, Yahawah. For Yahawah is in heaven, and thou upon earth. Therefore, let thy words be few." Hey, man, the Most High is in heaven. You're not in heaven, all right? The Most High created the heavens and the earth. And here you are on earth. You have to sleep, all right? If you don't get enough sleep, you can't function correctly. You have to use a restroom and wipe your butt. You have to take a shower every day. You have to eat. You can only lift a certain amount of pounds, all right? All right, you can't fly, Hey, man, who are you, man, to reply against the Most High, All right, we're all prisoners of hope. All right, we're all subject to the Most High, okay? Our lives are not our own, okay? The Lord created us. We did not create him, Psalms 103, know ye that the Lord, he is God. It is he that hath made us, and not we ourselves. We are his people and the sheep of his pasture, man. Hey, The Most High made us, man. We didn't make ourselves. You get these women, these Jake women saying, "Oh, I created you. I brought you into this world. I could take you out. You didn't bring nothing into this world, man. Okay, the Most High used you. Okay, the Most High used you to bring people into this world. All right, all right. You see how great the Most High is. All right. He created you just to bring forth children. Okay, he could take you out of this world too. All right. Like the Maccabees, the three brothers. You know, um, their mother said, I don't know how you were formed in my belly, and your limbs and your heart and bones were formed in my belly. You know. But the Most High created you, roughly paraphrasing. All right. So a righteous woman of the Lord, she gave reverence to the Lord, to the Most High. All right. That brought, even though she was the one that birthed, all right, who carried her sons in her belly, but she gave reverence to the Most High. All right. She acknowledged that the Most High created her sons within her. So who are we, man? We're just the creation. All right. All right. The scriptures say obedience is better than sacrifice. Just be obedient to the Most High. Okay, that's all we can do. That's all you should do. Okay? Because everything else will be wicked. Job 34:18, it says, "Is it fit to say to a king, thou art wicked, and to princes, ye are ungodly? How much less to him that accepteth not the persons of princes, nor regardeth the rich more than the poor, for they all are the work of his hands." Okay? So, hey, man, the Most High, hey, the Lord, he created Donald Trump to be the president of the United States and to take it down, man. Okay? To make Donald Trump crazy and wild and start World War III. Okay? It's like, the Lord, the Lord put Donald Trump, in the United States office, not for good. For good to forward prophecy, but not for the good of America, for the detriment of America, because the Lord is not with America. The scriptures say the Most High's eyes are upon the sinful kingdom, and he will destroy it off the face of the earth, man. All right, and that's why the Lord, is making America worse and worse and worse, okay? Because the Lord is, YAHAWAH is tired of this place, man, because it's wicked. It's oppressing his people. It's been oppressing his people. America was never great, The last time America was great was when it was just here, the Native Americans here in America, okay? Because those were the Lord's people, okay? One with nature, in the creation, all right? Job chapter 40:4 says, "Behold, I am vile. What shall I answer thee? I will lay mine hand upon my mouth. Once have I spoken, but I will not answer. Yea, twice, but I will proceed no further. Then answered the Lord unto Job out of the whirlwind, and said, Gird up thy loins, now like a man. I will demand of thee, and declare unto thee, declare thou unto me. Wilt thou also disannul my judgment? Wilt thou condemn me, that thou mayest be righteous?" Just a rhetorical question, man. Are you gonna condemn the Lord? The Lord created you, man. You can't. Who are you? You're just a creation, and the Most High is a God. The God. Okay. Last precept, Proverbs 16:9. It says, "A man's heart deviseth his way." All right. So a man ponders and thinks about and try to prepare for the future. Okay. It says, "But the Lord directeth his steps." So you could There's no guarantee in anything, okay? But whatever the Lord guarantees, that's a guarantee. You can't guarantee anything other than what the Lord guarantees, man. All right, that's why the scriptures say, who can but prophesy, man, Because prophecy is the only guarantee, man, the prophecy of the Bible, okay? Because we all know prophecy means to say before, okay? So whatever the Lord writes and, whatever the Lord wants to happen, that's going to happen. If you want something different, then too bad, It's not up to you, man, okay? So hope this was edifying to the elect. Shalom.